We might have a few more people join. Before we introduce Lynn, why don't we go around and introduce ourselves. I'll start and then I'll kind of go as I see people on the screen. So I'm Matt Subert. I'm the Associate Executive Director for Development, Communications, and Advocacy for AFP-CNY. We're a leading provider of services for people with developmental disabilities and mental health diagnoses. John, you're next on my screen.
I'm John Zella, formerly of the Onondaga Historical Association and ACR Health, currently looking for the next exciting opportunity in fundraising.
Ashley.
I am Ashley Forshee. I'm the Development Director at Helio Health. Helio Health is a nonprofit healthcare organization that helps people who are recovering from substance use and mental health disorders. I also serve on the AFP board.
Maya.
I am Maya. I am the Executive Director with Pages Butterfly Run. We raise money to support pediatric cancer patients and their families at Upstate Golisano Children's Hospital. I am also a board member of the AFP-CNY chapter.
Bridget.
Hi, I'm Bridget Dolbear, and I'm the Development Coordinator for Oswego County Opportunities. And Oswego County Opportunities is the community action agency for Oswego County. So we have over 50 programs that we service, from Head Start to WIC to domestic violence, Meals on Wheels, the whole gamut.
Christine.
Christine Corbett, Director of Philanthropy with David's Refuge. We are a nonprofit that serves parents who are 24/7 caregivers to a child that has special needs or a fragile medical condition.
And last but not least, Andrew.
Andy Delmedico. I work for a company called Manning & Peer Advisors, an investment advisor that works with individuals and not-for-profits throughout the country, but I specialize in clients that are in central New York. And saw this happy hour, wanted to kind of see what it was all about and figured I'd check in. I appreciated the conversation so far. I got to hear about seltzer preferences, and I'm a big bourbon fan. I too have the same habit of trying not to empty a bottle. I don't know if it's the guilt that I get from it through the COVID of maybe drinking a little too much or what, but I'll leave a little bit in the bottom if I can.
Well, we're glad you could join us today, Andy, and we're pleased to have Lynn High from the Food Bank with us today. Spent 3 years as the game presentation and events coordinator at Buffalo Sabres, so I'm just sure John is going to have lots of questions about that. She's also spent 5 years as marketing and events manager at the Salvation Army, and for the last 10 years, she's been at the Food Bank of Central New York, currently serving with the fancy title of Chief Development Officer, handling fundraising, sponsorship, volunteers, events, social media, all that jazz. She's also past president of AFP-CNY from, I think, 2017 to 2018, which was a scary time for AFP-CNY, and she kind of steered us through some difficult times and helped build membership and financial stability for the organization. So we've invited Lynn to join us today to talk about her response to the COVID-19 epidemic with the food bank and how she's dealing with donors and the community in general. So we'll take a few minutes, Lynn, if you kind of want to talk about what you guys have been up to, and then we'll open up for questions. And sort of towards the end, we can also talk about what everyone else has been up to. Take it away.
Sure, thanks. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I told Matt that nobody wanted to hear me talk when he asked me to do this. But you guys proved me wrong, so thank you. And this yesterday when I said to him, how many people are coming? I figured it was going to be me and him and maybe one other board member. So I'm impressed.
No.
So the food bank, as you can imagine, has been overwhelmed in many different ways in the past 3.5 months. It started in March for us. You know, we kind of saw that there might be something coming in late February, and we said, you know, we need to start getting more perishable food out into the community. So we really just quietly started. Hi, Karen. Oh, she's not connected.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Karen. Karen, I just started, so why don't you introduce yourself to everybody first, and then we'll go, and then I'll continue.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Karen Ferguson. I'm the president of the Central New York chapter of AFP. I'm also Chief Development Officer for the American College of Medical Toxicology.
Okay, thanks. So we started quietly just getting additional perishable food out to our partner agencies. So our partners are the food pantries, soup kitchens, emergency shelters. We started quietly just getting extra product onto their shelves so they could start giving extra food out to people that were coming to see them before COVID hit. And then, and started having internal meetings of different scenarios. What was it going to look like? I mean, we planned all the way to the fact that we were going to be a small team of us were going to be living at the food bank. You never know what was going to happen when you saw how some of these other places were handling it. To the point where I was looking at my husband going, we got to get together our extra blankets and pillows. I got to bring them to work. Luckily, that didn't come to fruition, but it has been busy, and not many people are taking time off. So, you know, there's a toll that it's taking on our staff. But when it comes to, you know, the need has grown exponentially. It's at least 33, if not 40 to 50% higher now than it was pre-COVID. But I cannot say enough about our community and the ways that our community has stepped up to support the food bank. Really, the first COVID call that I remember getting is from a local business. And I was chatting via LinkedIn, actually, with a former food bank employee that now works at a local business. And she sent me a message that said, you know, what's your guys' plan? So I kind of just said, you know, we're meeting now. We're trying to come up with innovative ways to get food out there. And she said, what do you need, food or money? And I said, of course, money. Because we can purchase large quantities of food and we can make it happen more. This was, again, all through LinkedIn. And she said, okay, I'm going to bring this back to the owner of the company. And within 20 minutes of my LinkedIn conversation with her, a $5,000 gift came through online to support COVID. And that really is the first COVID gift that we received. And then it took off from there. I've heard from companies and individuals that we've never heard from. I was doing some research, and since I start my day at March 13th as the first day of COVID for us. And, you know, we're a food bank. We have a lot of donors, you know, a lot of people, you know, some organizations, they have a small number of donors who give a large amounts of money, you know, typically large amounts of money. We have a lot of donors that typically give small amounts of money. So I don't want you to be like, oh my God, when I say some of these numbers to you guys. But when I looked at how many new donors have come on since March 13th, it's over 3,000 people that are new to giving to the food bank. And of those 3,000, about 350 of them have given multiple gifts to the food bank since March 13th. We have an interim executive director right now. So between our interim executive director and myself, anybody that gives $100 or more is getting a personalized handwritten note on their thank you letter. It is very time consuming, but it's obviously paying the dividends that we need to see, because we really don't have the manpower right now to be making lots of phone calls, because my phone calls are on a plethora of other things. We've chased after almost I don't think we've turned down any grant opportunity that's presented itself to us to get dollars. And, you know, we get dollars through Feeding America, which is kind of like our national affiliate, but we've received so many from corporations and individuals, and many of those corporate dollars that are coming to us are new dollars as well. And the most, I would say, unique thing that happened, I think, and the unique thing that was offered to me, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of TV, but if you did, when COVID started for the months of late March, all of April, into the middle of May, you probably couldn't turn on your TV without seeing a food bank commercial that was, Christine saying yes. That food bank commercial was free, and all of the airtime was free. So what happened was Empower Federal Credit Union, they have a very extensive media buy, and they had prepaid for they prepay for their media. They have it planned out. And they decided that now was not the time to be promoting their products. It was not the time to talk about banking. They wanted to get the information out to people that needed it. And they came to the food bank and they said, we're donating all of our media time to you. Take it, advertise the food bank. So we came up. So at first I was just like, oh, okay, we'll run our commercial that we have. And after like I slept on it and said, no, we can't do that. That's not the message we need to send. Luckily, we had a bunch of stock footage, and I went to Mooney Marketing, who is the marketing company for Empower. And I said, guys, I don't have dollars to do this, but I need you to take the footage that you have. We need to cut a new commercial, and I'm going to write a script. So I literally wrote a script and sent it to them and said, tear it apart, help me make it better. They said, the script is fine. Within 2 days, they had the commercial done, the radio spot done, and they had distributed to all the media, and the commercials started running. And you could not get away from the food bank. If you don't watch TV, you couldn't get away from the food bank during those months of COVID. And I think it really helped bring us to the forefront of a lot of people's minds. That, and then we had some really great coverage for some mass distributions that we've had, that we held, and the community is responding. We have seen it kind of level off, and maybe the amount of donations decline a little bit, but it is very, very strong. We also, we work with a national company out of California for our direct mail campaign. And I don't know if anybody works with a direct mail company, that you have to do everything so many months in advance, months and months in advance. So when it came out, like the April mailing went out in mid-March, so there was nothing I could do about that. But then the May mailing was going to go out in mid-April, and the mailing was, students are getting out of school soon. Well, obviously that seems a little tone deaf with everything that was going on, and then students getting, so they had printed it. I mean, it was to the point that all they had to do was drop it in the mail. And I said, charge me for what you've done. We're not sending it. Destroy, recycle all those mailings. We're done. And I worked with our in-house graphics person and a local printing marketing company, and we created our own appeal, and we mailed it out in place of this May appeal. And we had the biggest response on a direct mail appeal I've ever seen, which was over 20% response rate, bringing in over $200,000. But my message is, I hate to say it, my message is easy. It's easy for any one of us on this call and anybody in the public to understand. We've all been hungry, right? Everyone knows what it means to be hungry, not maybe hunger that others are struggling with, but you've skipped a meal or if you've eaten late, you know what it is to be hungry. So everybody can understand what it is. And there's so many children. I mean, even in the month of May, the increase in children was 62% more children. When you compare May 2020 to May 2019, it's unbelievable. So I always say kind of fundraising for the food bank is easy, and I just have to smile at people and they give me money. I don't know. I'm done. You guys, what do you got? What else you guys want to know?
Well, I want to say, Lynn, that we our timeline was very similar, and when we reached out to every single family that has been a part of David's Refuge since we started 8 years ago, personally with phone calls, and you know, so many of them needed additional resources, and food pantries was probably one of the largest requests that we had. And so your pantry partners, I know, have been and continue to serve our families. I'm really, that's awesome. All that airtime, that's huge. Like, what a huge gift.
It was unbelievable. So Christine, if you still have families that are in need that are local, we're doing another mass distribution on July 14th. There's no income guidelines. And this is really for anybody that's working with people that might need help. There's no income guidelines. They do need to register in advance. If they go to the food bank's website, they can click on a button and they just register. And that's really just so we can track it. We know how much food to bring, and we get a little bit of demographic information, how many people in the household and their ages, that kind of thing. But that's coming up on July 14th, and it's in the parking lot at NBT Bank Stadium.
Awesome. Honestly, Lynn, if you send that out, I feel like the entire AFP membership should be sharing that information, because right now, no matter who we're working with, everyone has been impacted. And I would be astounded if any one of our members work at a nonprofit that doesn't have families that are hungry. So,
yeah. Well, and we've posted already with the link on Facebook.
okay.
So if you guys want to share that to your membership through Facebook, that might be a great way, because then it's just, you don't even have to come to the food bank website. You just click on the link and it brings you right. Actually, we're using Eventbrite to register families, and it's working out lovely. And free, which is my favorite.
Best price tag ever.
Yeah, I'll echo what Christine said. We've been pushing a lot of people to the food bank, in addition to doing some food support ourselves. Lynn, for the new donors that you receive, do you have any sense of if they're coming to you as a result of prospect lists that you have? Are they just white mail that you didn't anticipate? Do you have a sense of where they're coming from or how that's breaking down?
No, I mean, I'm not doing any prospecting right now. There's no prospect list that I'm mailing from. We haven't done an acquisition mailing since November. If they were responding to that mailing, even though so late, I would know. These are people that are seeing our commercial. They're seeing our coverage. They're thinking about people, you know, on the whole, they're thinking about people being hungry, and they're giving to the food bank because we had all that airtime, and we're so top of mind for people right now.
And how would you say those gifts broke down in terms of more coming through the mail, more coming through?
You know what we saw, if I look at, so our fiscal year just ended yesterday. And if I look at how much money we brought in through online giving, when I look at the number from last year and I look at the number from this year, it's almost 5 times higher in online giving. And then we also ramped up our email marketing. Our email, like whenever we send donor emails out, we get no gifts. Like people are like, oh, we've had a great return. We never get good returns. We started writing just to update our donors on what was going on. I didn't know how that, you know, if it was going to translate into donations or not. And we saw some pretty big returns on those as well. And then, hey guys, sorry, my family just got home. And I've lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, and then general. So just general gifts that have come in, you know, white mail, general gifts, that is probably maybe 30 to 40% higher than last year. Hi, babe. Do you want to say hi to everyone? You guys all have to say hi to my son now. Hello.
Hi. Oh my gosh, he's so big.
I know, he's going to be 7 in September.
No. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Yes, many people on the call remember me when I was pregnant. So,
What do you guys use for your email communication? What platform?
we use MailChimp.
MailChimp. Okay.
I'm hoping to someday get the fancy Razor's Edge NEXT. Actually, I
Don't
have
bother.
Huh?
I said, don't bother.
Really?
We can talk about that another time.
We may have written a grant for it, but
Can you say that again? What was it? MailChimp?
MailChimp. Chimp,
Yeah.
like a monkey.
Gotcha.
Is that, Lynn, is that free or is it based on the number of contacts you have?
It's based on the number of contacts right now.
Okay. Yeah. 'Cause
And there's it's, yeah, I mean, I think we have in the 11 to 13,000 email address range, and it's maybe $125 a month or something along those lines. There is a nonprofit discount when you use them.
And it's also tiered based on how many emails you have in it. So it's more affordable than some of the other options. And it integrates. Does it integrate with RE? It does with Salesforce.
It does not integrate with Razor's Edge. And Razor's Edge NXT has some sort of system integrated into it, which Matt is saying no.
I miss Razor's Edge so much.
Razor's Edge is complicated. I mean, I think a lot of databases are I didn't know you needed an advanced degree or a more advanced degree than I already have to mess with these things. It should be as easy as who are they? How much did they give? When did they give? And what do they give for? Give me a report.
I spent
really
10 years. I spent 10 years mastering it, and I knew it inside and out. I could report, I could query, and then I got to a new system, and I'm like, I'm starting all over. I don't know the system at all. And Salesforce is just so significantly different. I'm happy to give Razor's Edge tips to anyone, anytime, ever. I miss it. I'll run your report. It'll be great.
So Lynn,
Legitimate
for all these new donors that you have, do you guys have you changed your stewardship plan for these donors?
So, everybody gets, the handwritten note. So if they've given at that level, handwritten note of $100 or more, and every donor gets a new donor packet, which it's funny, at the beginning of the year, we had about 100 new donor packets, and my volunteer coordinator says, Lynn, I'm going to bring donors in to make new donor packets. And I go, we won't need them until the fall. Don't bother. So after the first week of COVID, I was sitting in an conference room stuffing new donor packets because we didn't have volunteers coming in at that time. And I found it to be very important to have those. And then I'm reaching out currently. I'm starting with the people that have given us, that are new and giving us multiple gifts. And now I'm starting to do more of an impact overall, how we're still seeing need in a handwritten donor note. And then really the first kind of major communication that they're going to get from us is not one of our solicitation appeals. It's going to be our newsletter, which is going to come out at the end of the month.
Lynn, have you seen, what is your monthly donor base done or looked like in this time?
So monthly donors, we have increased. So many of our monthly donors have actually started sending us a higher gift than what they've originally pledged to us. And then we have seen, and I should have looked up this number and I didn't, but anecdotally, I mean, we don't, overall, pre-COVID, we have about 400 monthly donors.
Yeah.
I would estimate, without actually looking at the number, that since March 13th, we have probably somewhere between 60 and 80 new monthly donors.
Wow.
That have come in. Some of them at significant levels, where it's, we have one woman and she's giving us, she came up, because we're allowing people back in our building now. So she came up on Friday and I gave her a tour, and she's giving us $200 a month. And she gave us her stimulus check. That's why she came up on Friday. I want to give you my stimulus check. Okay. Thank you. We got a lot of that. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but we saw a lot of, here's my entire stimulus check. Here's a portion of our stimulus check. Please, I don't need it. How, work. And on a side note, Lindsay Boland, I gave out your information yesterday to a donor that wants to give you a check in addition to the check she's giving me.
Thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
So Lynn, for these new folks, and I don't know how far you've planned it out. I know that you're looking at wanting the kind of the first piece to be really stewardship based and impact driven, which I think is brilliant. do you have those folks that have come on new, made multiple gifts? Do you have an idea of a monthly giving appeal that's going to go out to them down the road, or?
Yes, typically what we do, so they've all received information that we have, we call them Hunger So Partners. It is our monthly giving. So in that new donor packet, they actually receive a nice piece about Hunger So Partners. So they've received something. And then typically what we do is we send that appeal asking people, A, that kind of fall within the guidelines, A, to become a monthly donor, or B, a second appeal, they all just go at the same time. If they are a monthly donor, to consider increasing their gift. We do that all in January.
Okay.
And that's just typically how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Matt. We missed you.
I had to refill,
But I haven't been drinking. I can't refill.
Yeah. What kind of plans are you guys making for what's considered the second wave in terms of program or from a donor perspective?
For the second wave of COVID?
Yep.
Well, the first wave of COVID hasn't gone away for us.
Yes.
We are about, you can have the rest of that. We are finalizing our numbers for June, and June is going to be our largest distribution month in the history of the food bank. I'm hearing it's over 2.2 million pounds of food just in June. And we are not seeing any sort of decline. So I can't say that we're planning for a second wave because we're still in wave one, and we're sustaining our operations. We're still working on, I'm working my regular donor strategies. And then, so we have, luckily my board gives us dollars every year to have a small advertising campaign. So right before I hopped on this call, I was sending an email saying, all right, I think I know what the theme is and how we're going to make this happen. And at that distribution, Christine, I just told you about on July 14th, can we get a camera there so that we can get the footage, so we can talk about the continued response and how there's so many people struggling with hunger that have never had to ask for help before. That's the consistent theme. We had a distribution up in Jefferson County, and one of the questions that we ask is, have you ever used the services of the food bank or a food pantry before? And 70% of the people have not.
That's real.
Yeah, it's so many people, and a lot of it too is our senior citizens who are afraid to leave their house because they don't want to get sick.
And what counties are you covering?
So we cover, I'll start at the Canadian border. And I just got to do this because that's how I do it. So we cover St. Lawrence, Jefferson, Lewis, Oswego, Cayuga, Onondaga, Madison, Oneida, Herkimer, Cortland, and Shenango. So it's more than 12,000 square miles. It's about a quarter of the state. There's about 300 emergency programs that we work with in those 11 counties. And those are food pantries, soup kitchens, emergency shelters. And we have found a lot more non-traditional partners throughout this whole thing. Like right now, we're partnering with many school districts because they're so, like, we've seen that need in children grow so much. And we're partnering with, I'm thinking Bridget up in Oswego County, there's the up at Oswego Speedway, and they're giving out the milk, and we're providing the food that's going out with milk.
We provided a number of our staff to help volunteer there to distribute the milk. Actually, it was wonderful. It was our furloughed staff members. We paid them to actually go to the racetrack and help with the milk distribution.
That's great. So yeah, I mean, so we're finding many schools and just non-traditional food bank partners. So we were able to actually just write a grant, literally submitted it yesterday, to see if we could get funding for a position to really expand on these non-traditional partnerships, because it really is, we're moving into a realm of work that we've never had before, and working with people that we've never worked before, and it's never been able to work before, but we're seeing that it can work. You know, we're working with Office for the Aging, getting them food, and then they're working with another organization that's delivering the food to these seniors that I'm telling you about. And we're doing this in Onondaga County, we're doing it in Cayuga County, and I feel like there's a third county that we're working directly with Office of Aging. So, I mean, we've really had to pivot and really look at every opportunity and say, okay, you know, is this helping us meet our mission of getting food out into the community, and how can we make it work? Doesn't anyone else want to talk?
Because she can talk a lot, to be clear.
We like hearing you talk.
I was going to ask how big your team is, and you said when you started the call you've been still going to the office. Is that true for the rest of your team, and were you able to move some of them to be telework?
So we have 6 total people, 2 are part-time. So there's myself, Heidi Soin, who is AFP member. So Heidi is our development coordinator. And actually, when we were determining that first week of COVID, who could work from home, I was like, oh, I can handle this all myself. And then I saw the first day of mail come in, and I looked at Heidi and I said, do you think you could stay in the office with me? So Heidi comes into the office every day. And then the other 4 are working, well, the other one is returned, but for most of COVID, our volunteer coordinator did work from home because he could do all of we have an online volunteer portal, and he was able to do all that in the communications from home. So he worked from home until 2 weeks ago when we started inviting volunteers back in to the food bank. So he's the 3rd person. Then we have, oh my God, who do we have? So there's myself, Heidi, Matt, Debbie. Debbie works part-time. She works 20 hours a week, and she's strictly data entry for our donations, making sure that letters are going out. So she has, working from home, she has been instrumental in making sure that all of our matching gifts are up to date, because we're seeing a lot of that. And, you know, all the paperwork, signing into cyber grants and all that. And she's been able to access Razor's Edge remotely through the system that we have, and input online donations. So that's worked out well for us. And then the other 2 people on my staff, one is part-time, she's our grants coordinator. And then the other is our person that works on our graphics, social media. She does, like, I just send her the message, and then she takes care of getting it out for email marketing and, you know, those types of things. So yeah, did I say the grants person was part-time?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So those are my team. That's my team.
Gotcha. And remind me, your online giving is not automatically connected to your database, correct?
No, we have to manually input everything. Right now we're using Network for Good. I know. Believe me, when you have 5 times more gifts than you usually do, it's, so yes, we have to manually input everything. We use Network for Good right now, but hopefully this grant will come through for us to move to Razor's Edge NXT. Matt, you really need to tell me why not.
No, I will say the NXT portion of online giving is quite helpful, as you can import your gifts quite easily to the database, and that's good. It's the email piece is not as much as they promised, but we can talk about that.
Okay.
What other questions do folks have for Lynn, or other things that you have on your mind?
You mentioned that you use Facebook for some of it. Did you also, do you know how much your social media impacted your donations? Do you think that it was, or what other types of social media did you use?
So we have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter we typically use just for kind of retweeting. We're not putting a lot of original content on Twitter. Instagram, we use the stories feature a lot. A lot of that is kind of sharing out other people's posts that they've tagged us in, but occasionally we'll do our own. We have found them, LinkedIn is really more for, you know, our business purposes, like when we're hiring or something. Facebook has been very strong with us. We've seen some great engagement with our posts that we've been coming through. Like when we send those email communications I was talking about earlier, we then put it on our website and then we send it out on Facebook so that everybody can see it. And we've just seen an amazing engagement and growth within our Facebook base. And I can say, you know, Facebook, you know, they have that giving portal and it's nice because it makes it easy for everyone to give, but then you don't get anybody's donor information and it's awful. And we've seen a huge increase in the amount of Facebook donations that we've received too.
Lynn, there is a way to get donor information now if you go on and register. I still think they keep the money way too long. It takes, there's a significant delay in getting it to you. But there is a way now, at least, to get the donor information, which I know was impossible before.
I haven't been able to find it. Is it like when you register your page? Because I've done that.
No, I'll email Nancy right now because she's the one that found it, because nothing drives me crazier than getting a donation and having no one to thank for it. Like I don't know who to thank. And then I'm talking to someone who has supported us and I have no idea and no record of it. That's the stuff that drives me nuts.
Yeah, we had a gentleman reach out to us and said, I never received anything about the Facebook birthday fundraiser I held. And we're like, we weren't notified that it was you. We had no idea. And that drives me crazy.
Oh, me too. I'll just forward you whatever Nan sends me.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know we've had success pulling that information too. So yeah, there is a way to do it. I don't know how to do it, but someone in my office knows how to.
There's it's in a little bit of a weird place, and I don't have access to a page anymore. I think it's in publishing tools, and then if you scroll down on the left side, there's like donation settings, and then you can download the daily transaction report for a month. And
I'm still looking this up right now.
And it'll list the information for you.
Christine, if you do that information, can you share it with me too?
Yes. So Nancy, I'm going to send myself a little note. Nancy makes guides for everything. I love her. She's so what I'm not. She's perfect. So.
Yeah, if it's like they'll probably change how it's done tomorrow because they love to.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I figure something out, then the next day it's like in a different spot. So hopefully it'll.
Because they're listening to us.
Yeah.
And you said you canceled that April mailing from your direct mail company. Were you able to work with them and change the ones going forward, or did you kind of have to stick with what you had already agreed on?
So the overall look and feel remained the same, but we were able to change some of the copy. And they were very proactive about it. They had said, do you want, here's some copy. Do you want to include this? Or we can change copy based on, and they're good like that for any of the mailings that we do with them. So yes, we've been able to integrate that in. And, we just had a few weeks ago, our kind of fall campaign, our meeting with them talking about our fall campaigns. And they're really kind of weaving some changes in because of COVID into the mailings that you'll see this fall. Probably all of you will see them because we mail to half of Central New York. Chris Arnold gets them all the time.
Yes, and I love to see them from the Food Bank. You're one of my favorite organizations. And I came late. Could you just repeat everything you said for the last?
No, you get nothing.
See? Jeez.
Most importantly, Chris, she's drinking a shandy. That's all you need to know.
Actually, I changed. I finished this shandy. Now I'm drinking a porch rocker.
Oh, I love porch rocker.
I know, they're so good. It's a Sam Adams drink. If anybody's never had them, they're lovely.
Very good. It's a little more like, it's lighter. It's not quite so happy.
Yeah.
I hate to do it, guys. I have to go feed my brood. You know, I have to be a responsible mom.
Somebody's got to do it.
Well, that's true. Although I will say my husband's wearing an apron and grilling right now. So I've got it made shade here, guys. Lynn, it's so good to see you. Thank you for doing this.
Of course.
And good luck on those grants.
Thank you.
You got
Thank
it.
you. And thank you. Talk to you soon.
So in the kind of the last 15 minutes we have, what other topics do other folks want to talk about? I know we spent a lot of time talking about virtual events has come up a lot. I don't know if anyone's moved forward on any of their events or the planning of them or where they stand. Anybody want to kind of jump?
We're going forward with our golf tournament. Our golf tournament typically is it was supposed to be July 7th. We changed the date to August 4th, and we're moving forward with it. And we have 108 golfers so far.
Yeah, and I'll say for us, our golf tournament's going forward too. It was supposed to be in June, I think. I don't even remember. But now it's in August as well. And we've surprisingly not seen, I don't think we've seen anyone say they are not coming. The numbers look pretty comparable to what they normally are, but you can pretty easily social distance at a golf tournament. So we've made some adjustments to how we'll serve lunch and dinner. The auction piece that we usually do, we're not really spending a lot of time worrying about, in part because we don't feel like it's a great time to be hitting up a lot of small businesses. But for the most part, we're not really seeing interest be driven down in that event.
Bye, Maya. Oh, she's gone.
Well, we are going virtual for the run. That's
right.
That was decided several months ago, actually. So doing that in August. You two super spreaders, you just, go ahead and do that.
And John, did you guys, I know you're not presently where you were before, but you guys did your event virtually a few weeks ago, right?
We did 2 virtual events, actually. There was one in April that's typically out in Utica, and then we did the AIDS walk run that's typically at Syracuse, rather at Beaver Lake. We had a feeling early on, probably the week before St. Patrick's Day, we had started kind of formulating a plan on what that would look like if we weren't going to do our April event in person, and then we were able to largely duplicate that first event in April for the AIDS walk run. A colleague, Allison Matura, was on last week, matter of fact, for an AFP, I don't know what you want to call it, roundtable, something to that effect, where they kind of asked a bunch of people questions on that front. She was a little bit of the mastermind behind that.
Allison did great. I was part of that panel. We actually recorded it and are going to be putting it up on our social media pages and our website if anyone wants to take a peek at it. Speaking to the golf tournament, so one of our vendors is planning to throw a golf tournament in September. We're one of the beneficiaries. And originally they had it scheduled for August. When things got a little funky, they moved back to September. And I'm crossing my fingers it's going to go, as planned. But it's really going to be interesting. And one of the things that we're kind of debating is what the post golfing looks like. And do we send people home with a little picnic or something that they can then, have on their own. So it's just, it's just kind of.
So Ashley, what we're doing, because our golf tournament's at Camillus, and he said to us, I don't know, I can't commit to you guys that my restaurant's going to be open. It's probably not. So we have a food truck coming.
Oh, that's a neat idea.
Yes, we have Toss and Fire coming.
Uh-huh.
Nick Sanford, who owns Toss and Fire, was like, oh my God, yeah, this is great. He's been great to work with.
So will they order in advance, Lynn?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is when everybody comes in to register, they're going to have a card that tells us their name, foursome number, or just their name, actually. What am I talking about? And then what they want, we're going to have listed out. And then we're going to get that to Nick. And then as people come off the course, because those pizzas don't take long to cook, from the time they make them to it's 5 minutes. So by the time somebody gets off the course and turns in their keys and their score sheet and puts their clubs in the car, their pizza's going to be done.
Where are they going to eat it?
You can eat it outside. They will have some inside seating, or you can leave. Because we're not going to plan to do a big presentation after, just because it's, as you know, Chris, no, you can't come, honey. As you know, Camillus isn't big enough. I mean, you've played in our tournament. That it's standing room only in that room for our tournament.
Yep.
What's really nice about that also is it eliminates that awkwardness of my foursome finished at 5 o'clock, but you know, Pokey McPokesterson is still playing at 6 o'clock. So my dinner is ready. I can get it and leave, because that's always a struggle with our golf tournament, is like people are waiting around for an hour for the slowest teams to finish before we can really do, you know, the dinner and the awards. So I'm actually looking forward to how we end our golf tournament, because I'll get home a lot earlier probably than I would have normally.
For the golf tournaments that you guys have planned, have they said anything about like more golf carts needed than necessary or anything like that?
So at least, go ahead, Matt.
So our tournament is at Cavalry Club in Manlius, and this is our second year there. And I feel like, not to throw shade at them, but we're paying closer attention to the guidelines than they are, because we saw several rules that we've sent to them to see how they're going to respond, and they're really not up on things. And part of that, I wonder, is also if they're a private club and they're just used to doing whatever the hell they want. So we're waiting to hear some feedback from them. But you know, that we have talked about, if there's the one golfer per golf cart, we suddenly need to double the number of carts we have, which seems like an impossibility and an added expense that we really don't want, but we might have to if they tell us we need it.
Are you doing 2 carts with masks, Lynn?
Yeah,
2
we're
per
doing
cart with
2
masks?
people per carts. He
With
told
masks?
us, yep. I mean, we're going to encourage masks. I'm not going to make people wear a mask. If they choose not to, I can't make them do it. But when we first said we're going to go ahead with the tournament, he said to us 1 person per cart, and it severely limited the amount of people that we would be able to have at the tournament. And then, was it 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, he said, nope, 2 people per cart. Rules have changed. So according to Jivy at Camillus, he said 2 people per cart.
Forget Andrew Cuomo, Jimmy at Camillus. That's the answer.
I like those rules. Your tournament?
That's what Jimmy said.
No, Jivy.
Jivy?
Jivy?
Yep.
That's not real. That's not real.
That's his name.
No. Lindsay, are you guys having a tournament?
No, we ended up canceling it. So I mean, we typically get 300 golfers, and it's like the Friday, now the Thursday after Labor Day weekend. So it used to always be the Friday after, and they used to give us a discounted rate like during the week, and then they went away with that because it's out at Turning Stone, and we use all 3 of the courses with the Shenandoah Yacht Clubhouse afterward for the reception and stuff. But yeah, that's not happening, and we moved our gala from around Memorial Day to October, and then ended up canceling that as well. So haven't had much interaction with virtual events because we just decided to do away with them this year.
So you're not doing any events this year?
Everybody that moved their events to the fall, are you kind of worried about, like, obviously it's going up instead of like plateauing or going down? Like, I have 2 concerns. First of all, are there going to be so many events in the fall? And then second of all, are they going to shut everything back down and we're not going to be able to do anything? Is anybody else thinking?
Yes, there's going to be. No, go ahead, Bridget.
We have our biggest fundraiser is always the first Friday in November. We've already just decided that it just went to the board. We've been talking definitely, but it is going to be a totally virtual event this year to try, because November is still so unknown.
Uncertain. Yeah.
You know, when we're getting 350 to 400 people together in in the conference center. And that, that's just, and local restaurants.
If you're putting these events off until the fall, what are you doing revenue wise? So how is the organization surviving cash flow and all this other stuff? Is it worth canceling the events, shifting what you're doing to individual giving, where you can get an impact and you can tell your story, and it's not transactional giving? You're actually making those bigger gifts and then getting to know people better to kind of tee them up. No pun intended for all these golf events, but you can tee them up for even a bigger gift down the line, or a planned gift or whatever, and engage corporate giving on a more direct level with specific programming. I think in addition to what Karen said about them all being at the same time and then canceling them, if you push them all off, you're just pushing the inevitable down the line, and then you don't have cash flow. What are you doing in the meantime? You can't just be planning the event for 8 months of the year and then it doesn't happen. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I know for us, we've been moving away from transactional giving through events and more towards philanthropic giving. So this, and that's been a slow process for us, but this sort of sped that along, which I think is because we had eliminated an event for this year. Our dinner's going virtual in October. And quite honestly, how we monetize that, I'm really not sure how successful it's going to be. So we're prepared to walk away from that if we can't sell tickets, because my sense is come October, if I have to be on another Zoom meeting, I'm probably going to jump off my deck, because I'm just about done with, no offense to everybody on this call, just about done with being on these meetings. And I'm trying to figure out engaging content for those virtual events that people are going to want to pay to come to is really challenging. So I think it does behoove us to use this time to, to really work on our stewardship and build cultivation plans for donors in a more philanthropic sense than a transactional one.
Yeah, well, I will say the last week of not having to be, this is my first Zoom call in like 6-7 days. So definitely happy about that.
Well, it's nice to see you, John.
So I'm perfectly fine. This is great.
It's like my 8th today, so I'm like.
Yeah, I think it is a good opportunity to move away. Ashley and I have, I think we've continued to have this conversation. There's a place for the events, and depending on what type they are, a golf tournament every year or a gala or whatever, I think is worth it, as long as it's for the fundraising part. How are you engaging your donors to then invite new people to come in? How are you engaging your board to use it as an opportunity to bring in some new people? At least get in front of them. It's an opportunity to showcase the organization and everything that you do. And not that you want to be a podium pig, but you want to at least use it as an opportunity to explain it, what it is, and bring your staff members, maybe some frontline staff that wouldn't typically meet donors, and maybe they can tell their story, or clients, or whatever the case is. The rescue mission does that, right? They kind of bring the people that they help, and they give them an award, and they get to tell their story, and they get to connect directly with the donors in the room. That's a great use of that time, as long as you're not trying to do 4 of them every year in different capacities. So I hope this is the way that organizations move forward.
Yeah, I mean, John, to your point, and kind of to yours as well, Matt. So we were supposed to have, our 100th anniversary gala this year. We're looking at ways to transition that to some sort of virtual event. I am very skeptical that a virtual event is going to be nearly as successful as an in-person event would be. So I'm, kind of trying to take that time to really take the time to build out our major gifts program. It's something that we've been talking about for a long time, and it's always kind of gets pushed down, but now it's like, well, we have to, we have to take the time, we have to make that happen, because I'm very skeptical that whatever virtual event we end up doing, Matt, I think you're right that people are going to get burned out, and like, what are people actually going to pay for? Are people going to pay, $50 to sit in front of their laptop on some sort of Zoom call? Like, I just don't know. I don't know, and I'm really curious to see how people, adjust and adapt and make that work.
So, a little bit to that, a lot of people will just donate, from what I learned, and not come to the event.
Right.
which I've always not really cared too much about, even when we were doing physical events. If you don't want to come and you want to pay for your ticket, that is fine. We will save the rubber chicken dinner, and it is not a big deal. But I'm also finding that with, we had a good turnout for both of our ECR events, but it was probably half the people that actually signed up. So they still donated, they still helped, they still shared, they still did what they were going to do, but it wasn't at this, we didn't need to have 150 people in the room. Now it's always nice, but usually those 70 people, if you have 150 people sign up, they're your most dedicated people. So that's an extra opportunity. You're really narrowing it down to these are the 70 people I should really be paying attention to moving forward. So I think it's about the pitch. That might be what the difference is. They don't necessarily have to go, but support it this way. This is what you do. And if you want to come, you can be part of the community. That's what it's truly about. That's what, if I learned anything from my experience with ACR, is it truly isn't about the event. It's not about the frill. It's not about the incentives. It's not about any of that stuff. It truly is about helping the organization. And that's good news for us. It means we don't have to pay that much attention. Apparently, they just want to help, which is, I think, what we were hoping for the entire time. So if we focus on that and are honest with our constituents, have the conversations. Is this okay, with your top people? It's okay if we don't do this. What do you think? Get them engaged in the process so that they're just like everything else. They want to be a part of it. They felt like they had their fingerprints on whatever it is that you're doing.
All right.
John, did you have any closing ceremonies or presentation ceremonies of any kind with your virtual event?
We did do some awards that we typically do, like Team Spirit or things like that. But we kept it pretty short. We didn't do, I think, as long of a list as normal.
Was it a Zoom meeting or was it some other type of presentation?
It was just like this. We had the plaques in hand and we announced the winners, whether they were on the call or not. And we did our events just like this. So we had 70, 100 people on these calls. We tried to keep it engaging throughout. If anyone here was part of the roundtable last week, the panel, I'm sure Allison mentioned that we checked in with people as the event went on. It wasn't just our hosts speaking. We tried to check in, like, Matt, looks like you're in a cool spot. Tell us what you're doing. Oh, I'm in the park, and it was cool to be able to engage with them that way. So we tried to keep it interesting, so it wasn't just this linear event. That was
somebody was emceeing it. Somebody was emceeing it in a sense.
Yeah, we had 2 people that were dedicated MCs for both events. That were 2. Well, there was 1 MC for the April event and 2 MCs for the June event. Because now we're in July or March 120.
Believe it or not. Yep, believe it or not. Thank you.
All right, folks, we are just about out of time today. Any last minute questions for Lynn before we send her on her way?
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you guys for coming and making me feel like there was actually people that wanted to hear me talk.
Lynn, when will I get another letter from you?
In a couple weeks, you'll get our newsletter, Chris.
Will there be a coupon to donate?
I'll bet there will.
There's not a coupon. It is just a soft ask with a gift envelope. And Chris, if you want me to send you like a love note, I'll handwrite you a little note right now.
Well, Lynn, we appreciate you being here today, and thanks for all the work that you and the food bank are doing.
Absolutely.
For our community is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, guys. If there's ever anything we can do together, just let me know.
All right. So
Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks,
we will
Lynn.
have another virtual happy hour. Stop it. In the next, we're doing the first Wednesday now. So look for more information about what we're looking to do for that one. Sorry, my dog is.
My cat's just over here eating at her bowl, so she's more interested in her food than me.
So again, thank you, Lynn. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you on another AFP event in the very near future. Have a great night.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I thought he was going to stay and talk to me.